Hi, and welcome to the Flute Talk Podcast, where we talk about all things flute. If you're looking for more tips or lessons from Amelie, please check out musigy.com for all the sheet music, transcriptions, albums, books, and flute lesson packages. That's musigy.com, MUSOGY.com. Also, if you're looking for posters, fingering charts, or merch, you can head over at our merch store at store.theflutechannel.com for all your flute needs. If you want to help us on a monthly basis, you can also consider joining us over at Patreon for as little as $2 a month. This helps us make more great content for you. Check the description for more info. Finally, if you're looking into buying a flute, please consider using the Flute Center of New York and use our code TFC for a 10-day trial in trying 3 flutes. Check the description for all the details. Now on with the show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Flute Talk Podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Amelie.
Hello Amelie, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. It's a little off ended this week, or this month's podcast, because we're doing it on a Saturday instead of on a Sunday, but we'll go back to our regular schedule next month, and also you'll probably get this podcast in your regular feeds on Sunday instead of Mondays. So we're going to talk a little bit about the new book that we just released. We were just about to release it last month, right after the podcast. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and how you got inspired about the book. We'll talk a little bit about the procedure, about how to write a book in a way, like on your own and stuff like that, and little things like that. So where did the intermediate book come from? Was it?
Well, it's the follow-up of the first one.
Right.
So like the first one, I thought like, let's do as, like second grade and, get from total beginner to maybe the end of second grade, usually something like that.
Yes, for beginner,
first, second grade, and then.
When we say grades, it's like a relative term between
like
all the
if you're
grades
in
of different conservatory-based type of levels.
And then I thought the next one, let's bring it to, let's say, the end of a fourth grade type of thing. Get that type of repertoire, that type of technical abilities and stuff like that. But for both books, I didn't want students to have to get 5 different books, one for sound, one for technique,
right.
one for...
Exactly.
I wanted also something that was kind of all, like, super easy to follow. You just follow the lesson plan. Because someone with no teacher, let's say, sometimes doesn't know how to organize their practice and organize their learning curve and stuff like that. And even for people with a teacher, because I use it with my students, it's good because it's all planned out and meant to be used that way. So super happy about it, but we worked very hard.
Right. Yeah, we released the first book, the beginner book, 2 years ago. So it's been 2 years. We've been basically thinking about the intermediate book since the inception of the beginner book.
Yeah.
In a way. So yeah, it's been pretty cool. And this one has 20 lessons and the other one is 15. So altogether, it's 35 lessons, of having 1-hour lessons basically in a digital form with the PDFs and videos, guiding videos as well, and lesson videos and playback tracks.
Yeah, MP3s of the flute parts and the piano parts.
Yeah, it's all well constructed. We've had an amazing response with the beginner book, and also an incredible first month response, beyond comprehension. How the response has been for the intermediate book as well, for people who probably have tried the first book and now have moved on to the second, and also just people who are just coming back and have a basic type of, or not even basic, but let's say come back from high school type of thing, and it's been 20 years or 10 years. You go to this thing, and it just brings you right back up, and a bit more.
Yeah, you can rebuild.
So
like
cool.
If you haven't played for a while, that can be a good starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who want to make books or lessons or guides like that in their own field, like a clarinetist or somebody else? Like, do you have a kind of guideline how you would do it yourself, or is it really just kind of adapting what you do in person and try to do it digitally, or maybe a hybrid of both?
Well, I'd say start with something and you're good at and you're used to do, so that you and then you have to do a whole thinking, because when you teach privately, one student at a time, you kind of you adapt to everyone, and you
Right.
go like you improvise the lesson a little bit
Right.
along the way.
Yeah.
But there you're putting everything in writing, so it's a little bit more stressful in a way because you have to make choices. And like, am I making the right choice? Am I putting that in the wrong? But at one point, you have to just make a decision.
Sure.
Say that's how we're gonna teach this.
Right.
I'm gonna put that there, and
Plus
Yeah.
plus your years of education and also education degrees that help you be able to make those types of decisions to be able to be the most adaptable to everyone in
Yeah.
that
yeah. I have a background in both
So-
performance and music education, so I
So-
have degrees in both.
and you've basically kind of taught like a lot of different types of people and different ways to teach them because it's not a plug and play type of thing. You can't just learn one way to teach and expect to have every single student learn that way. You have to, like you said, adapt and use different methodologies, and you have all of those, and it really shows inside the books for sure, and in also your lessons and in our videos that we make as well.
Yeah, I hope it
Yeah.
does. I think people learn from it, so I'm happy. But yeah, it's a good project, and I would totally encourage people to do
Right.
stuff like that if they want to
Yeah.
produce something. They think they can contribute, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a lot of work because you have to
Yes.
write it and then do revisions,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then there's mistakes, and then you correct them,
Yeah.
then you find more mistakes, and then
Right.
it's a lot of
You got to be determined and really, do all those types of things that you were just saying. Like it's really it's a procedure. It's not just something that can be done in a day. It's really it takes a type of determination for sure. And it's like even for a writer who has to write a regular book, like a fiction book or something. There's revision, there's changes, all those things. Those things all happen in 2 years.
I think writers like who write novels
Yeah.
and stuff like that, they're usually very disciplined people,
Yeah.
self-disciplined, because no one's maybe sometimes they have an editor who's like, hey,
Sure.
get to work, but mostly especially when it's their first one,
Yeah.
they don't have an editor, so
Right.
you have to kind of self-discipline to sometimes they're like, I know that Amelie Nothomb, one writer that I like, she writes every
Famous author,
morning from 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. or something like that. And like every day, even if she went to bed super late, or she does it,
Right.
because she's like, it's the discipline. If you start skipping, then, but I'm not like that. Like, and I'm not as productive as her.
Plus,
in
she
life
already
either.
has perhaps her schedule was way different when she was first starting out compared to now, where she has a full, she has a full bank account and a salary and millions of dollars. It's
Yeah.
But what was it like on day one? I'm sure it was a little different.
But she's still being super creative.
Of course,
Because
the creativity part's always there.
Yeah, she probably does it because she needs to create.
Of
you
course, yeah, of course.
Yeah. But yeah, we just worked when we could. On
And also,
it.
yeah, exactly. And there was a lot of intense periods of a couple weeks at a time that really were like crunch times that we put together that we wanted to finish different aspects of it and stuff like that. But I just wanted to roll back on saying, like, if you're a musician, a classical musician in different fields of instrumentation, you can use the digital age now to your advantage. Whether you want to sell classical albums by yourself and have your own album, have your own label, or whatever, you can do all those things with stuff like Shopify and all those types of things like that. And especially books and stuff like that, there's a lot of integration with those things. So you can give a package to somebody, sell it. You can do that all by yourself instead of getting taken from a lot of the corporate side of it. If you were working with big corporations, who take very big cuts, very big margins, and not necessarily will give you the exposure when you already might even have it. Maybe you've developed your Instagram or your TikTok or your YouTube. Like in our case, we've just done everything our way independently.
Yeah. So it gives us more freedom
Right.
to
Exactly.
create what we want, when we want, the way we want
Exactly.
it. And you don't need to wait for some producer or whatever to tell
please
you,
don't.
oh,
Yeah,
you're good
it's,
enough. Do
no.
something. No, just
See, if the fans like you, the producer is only one person. If one producer doesn't like you, but then 100,000 people like you, who are you going to really listen to? I'm going to listen to the fans.
Yeah.
And then if a producer sees something in that, then sure, maybe there might be something to negotiate, or maybe not. Maybe like, we're still good the way we are. Or maybe we don't want to give you a retainer and 40% or whatever it is. It depends by so many different places. Like I always see people like Paoud or any of those people, they have loads of representation, and that all those people have to have salaries. You know, like it's a lot to endure. I think it's a little. Sometimes it's.
But I guess when you have
unfair.
a career like his, you
Right.
kind of have no choice because like
Maybe.
there are people who are booking
Yes.
the festivals and the
Right.
big halls.
Yes.
Let's say in North America, and then
Yeah.
other people are more in Europe and other.
Yeah.
And if you're not in that world, it's very difficult to enter that
Right.
world.
Yeah.
Whereas with the internet, you're on another
Yep.
plane.
Another plane. Yeah. Dealing with
And-
different clientele.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you,
yeah.
it's like different worlds, and one is a bit more easy to go in than the
Right.
other one.
I'm curious to see if there actually are maybe some people who are doing a hybrid model up in that range that are not using as many bookers and agents. I'd be
Yeah.
very curious if there's
There's
anybody
a
like
very
that.
good classical pianist on YouTube. What's her name? Valentina
Yeah.
Lisista or something
Something like that.
that.
She's a pianist. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was solo for a long time.
I heard a couple of her
Interviews?
interpretations.
Oh,
And
interpretations.
she plays
Sorry.
very well. And she started on YouTube creating videos, and she
Yeah, for
had
a long
millions
time.
of views. And
Yeah.
then she's one of the first YouTubers to do the switch, to go from
That to be
YouTube
signing
or
on.
like the
Mhm.
and be signed. Like now she plays a lot.
Yeah, she signed on
all
to
around the
Sony or one of
world,
those
and
types
yeah,
of companies. Yeah.
yeah.
But is that that's another? Let's just jump to that maybe now from away from the book. Like that's kind of curious aspect of it. Like, is that something that needs to be done to be jumped to a label like Deutsche Grammophon or Sony or any of those types of things? Is
Maybe
it?
she doesn't need that. Maybe she could have just with her own. Maybe financially,
Yeah.
let's say, it would have been better for her to just keep, because she already has a following.
Right.
So does she need Deutsche
Yeah.
Grammophon?
Do those things. Yeah.
When you have millions of viewers, do you really need a big company?
Right.
Or maybe they take advantage of her.
Right. Or do they
you
make
know,
their
like-
own company? Like, I know, like piano.
Is it
guys.
a win-win?
Yeah. Is it a win-win? Yeah.
Or-
Huh.
It depends, because also we're brought up in that world where these things are better.
Mm-hmm.
These are the best.
Yeah.
But like maybe sometimes you have to stop and be like, but do I need that? You know, what's really best for me? I don't
Yeah.
know.
And I know like perhaps other like the piano guys and all those types of people, I don't know for sure, but what it looks like to me is that they grew and then they built their own company, and then within that company they hired their own agents to work within their own companies to like and have them be their only
Okay.
their only talent. But I'm not sure. But I think that would be a better model than going to a corporation or going to one of those big agencies who have several dozen artists that are, you know, and they take huge fees, you know, like and does that trade off, like, would that year ahead be different if you didn't have the agent? I'd be always curious, like,
Yeah.
with or without, would you?
I
and if you
remember
have,
when I was doing my bachelor's in performance,
Mm-hmm.
there was a course about like someone from an agency came and
Okay.
like they were explaining a little bit.
right.
It was very expensive.
Oh yeah. It's
Back
expensive.
then, like a long time ago when I did my bachelor's degree,
Right.
it was like $5,000 a year just as a retainer, and then you still had to work very, very hard
Oh, sure, of
on
course.
making contacts yourself. They don't
Right.
do that much.
Oh, I see. So
And then,
yeah.
but it kind of gives you access to some, like, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I remember they said it's
Yeah.
almost like a full-time job
Yeah.
just to make contacts.
Yeah.
And
Anyway, it's another career.
it's like, yeah, you have your musical career, and then you have your PR
Management,
career.
yeah, management, PR career.
And you have to do
yeah.
a lot on your own, even if you pay someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather not pay someone, just do it all by myself and figure it out and do that instead of losing money, basically. Because what if those people don't get anybody that year, or gets, let's say, one year you get 6 contracts, but the next year you get 3, and you're still paying them the same amount. Like,
I don't know if they guarantee you anything.
No, they
Because-
don't. That's the thing. They
because
don't. I
you
don't think
pay
they
the
do.
retainer, and then they take another 20% on
Right,
top of that
yeah.
on every gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's maybe has changed too. Maybe that's increased.
Maybe
because of,
it's different. I don't
yeah,
know. That's
yeah.
what
that's
they
the
were telling
baseline
us back then.
Yeah. Interesting. That's something we could deep dive one day a bit more in, because I'm always curious about that, because it's with the digital age now, I'm sure it's disrupting it. It's obvious that
Yeah.
it's being disrupted.
Because you can do so much, and you
look
can
at-
be
yeah.
creative at your own pace.
Yeah.
Do what you want with your time, and
Totally.
like see if people like it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I
'Cause, like,
think it's an
yeah,
amazing time to
totally.
be an artist or a creative or
I think even like Two Set, let's say just Two Set as well. I think they do their stuff almost all internally. If that maybe an agent, but previous tours of theirs, they arranged I figure all by themselves. You know, they fundraised by themselves and they got tickets by themselves. I know they booked halls that are not like they booked the McGill Hall once when they came to Montreal. Peterson, or no, not Peterson. It's the one at McGill. I forget what it's called there. Schulich, yeah, I think
it's the Pollack Hall.
Pollack Hall or one of those halls. You know, like that's really baseline, easy to get bookings on. You know, like it's not like OSM's hall. You know what I mean? Like they're big.
Yeah, I guess if you organize it yourself, you can pay for the hall and have the hall.
Exactly.
Like you could rent Carnegie Hall.
Right.
If you
It's
want.
$10,000 to rent Carnegie Hall for a block of 4 or 6 hours.
Yeah, you can play in, you know.
Yeah.
It's just,
and you can say you've played at Carnegie Hall.
I guess bookers, what they do as well is they try to get you in festivals or concert series that exist already and stuff like that. Or be invited with an orchestra, stuff like that.
Cool.
Well, I guess.
Yeah.
we diverge, but it's fun.
It's cool. So yeah, if you guys have questions about that, if you're listening this not live or live, let us know. We'll try to answer them in the comments or here live right now. But we have some questions, I think, here, but I'm not entirely sure. Or just some praise, actually, which is always good, about the intermediate book. And Maria says, hi, everyone from the UK living in Tanzania. That's amazing. Oh, yeah, Maria, yeah. I've purchased the intermediate book and couldn't be happier. I really wanted a teacher, but can't find one here in Tanzania. So the book is the second best thing. That's pretty nice of you to say. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's so cool. Kaylee has a question. I realize I get tired after playing flute for a short amount of time. I'm sure that is something that I will get over as I practice more. But Kaylee wants to know, I was wondering if you have any tips.
What tired? Like you feel lightheaded or your muscles are tired? Or
isn't it usually mostly like head fatigue and breathing fatigue?
Usually beginners breathe too much. They breathe in too much and they hyperventilate a little bit because they breathe between each note very often.
Right.
They out of breath tired.
Maybe
you breathe too much. Maybe you breathe between each note and you have to take one breath and play a few notes before you take another breath. Because if you breathe between each note, you're going to hyperventilate and be lightheaded. Even some beginners, sometimes my first lesson said to sit down because he had a student faint once because she hyperventilated herself so much. She fell. So you might think you need more air than you actually need. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Because also it takes a lot of coordination in the beginning to play a note, change your fingers and not stop. So people stop, change their finger, and then they breathe at the same time, and then there's too much air going in.
Yeah. Hopefully that helps. Clarissa Jessica wants to know, do you have any book recommendations for flute beginners? Yeah, our book. Our flute beginner book on musigy.com, MUSOGY.com. Today we were just talking about our second flute book that we just wrote. That's the predecessor. No, let's say it's the second book after that. It's the second book of that method. So you can go there and get that method. And if you want to learn on your own, it's the perfect way to do that because you have a teacher in the digital age, and then you have all this material that will really get you up instead of potentially having very expensive lessons, and maybe you don't have any flute teachers in your area. Like let's say with Maria in Tanzania, she has no teacher there. So this really helps out as well. So go and buy this first book. It's very affordable. We've had complete success with it with people. People have been sending us reviews and nice letters saying how they like the book and everything. And so it's super, super, super nice of them. And it's been selling very well in the past 2 years. We're beyond happy about that. And the second book as well, that's been released last month. So it's been exactly, I think, almost 1 month. So we've been very happy about that. Thanks, Sean, for congratulating on the release. Yeah, we're very happy that's done. It's sort of like a big weight off of our shoulders. Hopefully now we can do more videos. We've already done a lot of videos in the last 2 years. I think we've done almost over 100 videos in 2 years. So we're going to try to do a bit more. We'll see.
Let's push ourselves.
Let's push ourselves now because we have other ideas for other things coming up maybe in the next year or two about methods, but we're going to be focusing more on albums. We're going to be releasing at least one new album very soon. Her first debut solo album, which is going to be cool. We're going to be selling that directly to everybody. That's going to be cool. And then potentially maybe 2 more albums during that whole series of things. And then, like I said, we're going to be going to Europe. And we're going to be also hopefully bringing back the Montreal Flute Festival now that COVID regulations and things are subsiding and looking better on the horizon. We're going to try to do that and also have that happen again, which has been a very fun and successful endeavor as well.
Yeah. And
people have been asking about it, so people are now wanting to travel and want to come, and that usually happens in the summer, which is really great. And we might now that things, like you said, are kind of winding down with COVID, we will be able to do more traveling too, which is really good. Yeah. What else do we got here? Victor wants to know: are you back to live audience attending concerts now? Yeah, we are. Yeah, you can go to concerts now here. Yeah. There's concerts open. I think not yet full capacity. Maybe next week. I think next week, but now I think it's still 50%. Yeah. Yeah.
We're not planning a concert anytime soon.
Not us. No concert for us yet. But
we're gonna play in France in the summer.
Yep. We're gonna play in France in the summer.
And then if we do the flute festival this summer, we might play a concert
there, of
as
course.
well.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do a live stream of the concert in Europe. That's a baseline what we might do. But like I said, we have that as the residency there, and we might do some pop-up meetups in Europe. But those will be decided later in the next couple of months. You can join our newsletter at music.com. That's where we'll give those probably that call out for people to come and see us and do a little thing. We'll see. Yeah, but we have other stuff planned too, which is really cool. But yeah, I want to go to a concert soon, though. I haven't been to a concert in a long time.
Yeah. And you know, when you were talking about the book, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
My brain goes in different directions. But also, like, I would say if you do something like that and, like,
do something like a book?
Team, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, if it's music, you have to be able to put the music part and then the words in one document.
Yeah, you got to know how to do design.
You have to learn design.
You have to learn InDesign by Adobe. That's what we use. We use InDesign in the Creative Suite. You know?
Yeah. So, like, you're a curious person, and when you need to learn something, you're like,
take a course on design.
I'll learn it and I'll do it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good attitude for artists. Like, we're a team, so we separate those things. But some people might
I encourage
be able to do it all on their own as well. Like, and, like, I think that's a smart way to go forward, you know, to be like, I like your attitude of, it's not like, oh, I don't know how to do this. It's like, oh, I'll learn it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's the thing that we kind of mentioned, I think, when we were in Nashville, when we did our conference talk there. I encouraged everybody there. It was a great crowd, lots of people. It was amazing. But I also encouraged that the people in the talk was like, learn everything to a baseline. If I can learn it, you guys can definitely learn it. Everyone here is way smarter than I am, and I was able to learn these things and be able to baseline. I assume, but I give a lot of hope for people because I think people are very, very creative. Creatives are super creative, and they can do more than just the core thing that they're doing. You know, because
like in school, if you study music, you don't learn any of those things. You don't learn business skills. You don't learn. Recording, like you do a whole bachelor's in music and you don't learn recording.
Right, you don't learn recording. You got to learn that.
But like we should learn basic recording and basic whatever. I would modify some stuff there, but
for sure.
But like the fact that you're like able to self-teach yourself, it's a very good skill to have.
Right.
So that's just what I wanted to add, like that type of mentality of, oh, I can do this, I'll learn it, and I'll do it. And
we had the benefit of having a team, but I still have seen people do everything by themselves and have successful products. And I always see what I see the most out of everybody in those types of things is that it's not a race against anybody else except yourself. So don't feel like, oh, I don't have enough time to learn this. Yeah, you do. You can just learn it for 6 months. If it's something that could be learned in 3 weeks, and it takes you 6 months, you're going to learn it in 6 months. That's great. You're going to have that ability, that trade, that skill forever after that.
Because it seems like a long time, but in reality, let's say 2 years to make the second book, but we did other stuff at the same time.
Yeah, it was all about balance.
But it seems like, oh my God, 2 years is a lot of time, but we still have a lot of years ahead of us. So now
Okay.
we have it, and
Yeah,
then
and
we
it's
can
there
create
forever.
something else.
Yeah.
And then if you think, if I create even one thing every 2 years, it's
Right.
like 5 things created in
10 years,
in 10
yeah.
years.
Five
It's a lot.
great, five very, very
Big
big
projects,
projects
you
that
know?
are products. They're not just a project; it's a product. You
Yeah.
have to think of it as this is your product, this is your brand. Like, you know, I'm sure Picasso thought every single painting of his was not just only art, but it was a product that he wanted to sell because it's not just for art for being art. He wanted to make money. He wanted to be able to live, not to and buy his paints because his
And be
paints is
recognized
expensive
and all
and
that.
be recognized.
Yeah.
You know, like so. I think the tides are turning for that a lot with people. Like, you know, I know on TikTok and stuff like that, there's a lot of creative, creative spaces or creative person type of memes about paying people the right amount, and that's a good thing. And I think we should just keep at that wave path because there has been a long time where people think creative should get paid almost nothing. You know, like especially musicians, especially maybe even artists, you know, get paid by exposure and all that stuff. That's sort of going on the wayside now a lot, which I've noticed, which is a very good thing. I think people are getting, you know, people need to know how to read contracts, be able to negotiate, be able to do all those things because it adds a more seriousness to your trade because you don't negotiate with a plumber. You know, you don't negotiate with all those types of people. So we have unions and stuff like that in music, but it all comes down to ourselves and what we are worth. And
when I
and
was
being reasonable.
younger, I remember I had just finished my master's in performance, and I started playing with a singer, and she said she would pay me, and then she was like, "Oh well." She didn't. And then she asked me, "Oh, come and play. This producer's coming to my house." And I was like, "I'm not coming if you don't pay me. Like, I've been playing with you for months." And she said, "Well, you're only in it for the money. And you don't respect the art," or something like that. And I said, "You don't respect the art. When you ask a plumber in your house, you pay him, and yet you don't want to pay me. And I've studied my whole life, you know, to be a musician." So, yeah. Who's not respecting the art here? Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's always a classic of come and play in my restaurant and you'll have exposure. Like, how about you come and cook in my concert and it will give you exposure.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the classic. But
yes,
now I think we can have more power over our
totally
destiny. And
exactly. I think there's just all the tools are in place now for any creative person to really and be able to do those things with very the stack is in our favor now in a lot of ways. You know, the stack is in people's favor a lot, which is really helpful. And I like when we do those types of talks at conferences and stuff, saying that to the people, kind of breaking those barriers down because they're old barriers that are around these people that once loose, they're able to just be creative. It's pretty great. Let's go down some more questions here. Kaylee wants to know, what are some tips for recording? I know you have some awesome flute covers, and I was wondering what you use. Well, everything that you see on music videos is recorded live. That's all. That's not redubbed or anything like that, which is something we try to encourage. We try to do, any of the special effects and stuff like that. I do with like green screen and stuff, and a lot of comping through learning 3D software like After Effects, Unity, and Unreal Engine, and all those things like that.
That's more for visual.
That's for visual. And then so back to the recording part is like basically anyone could start with very basic gear. And I hate saying basic because we use basic gear and we have expensive microphones and we have very basic microphones. But you can get good microphones from companies like Sweetwater and stuff like that. For flute, I always encourage to get small condenser microphones, which are like pencil shape like, and they're 1/2 inch or full inch microphones, and they're usually very, very affordable and very, very cheap. Not cheap, they're just affordable. Let's
usually
just say
you put two in a
no,
V,
I don't at all. If it's just one flute, you only the way I record it is you point the microphone to the flute keys and not the tone hole, and usually up and above and point it down a 45-degree angle at the flute body. That way you don't get as much noise from the head joint, which is when you hear recordings of flutists, those microphones are up in the ceiling in the theater. You're never, if you don't hear, it's no wonder you don't hear their sounds because it's far away. So this is the same principle. You do at least 12 to 24 inches or 1 to 2 feet away from the flutist, and then you can record it directly to recorder, like a H4 or any of those Zoom recorders. You can get those used anywhere now that have an SD card. The preamps are all good, which means like that's the plug that you, that's the thing that gives it power. Are usually pretty quiet. Those brands. We also use Tascam, which is a very good budget brand.
Can you record directly on your computer?
You can do that too, of course. Yeah, you can have an
like
audio interface as well if you have that. Like I know Apogee makes one. I know Focusrite. We used to have Focusrite a lot. We used to have PreSonus as well.
So like if you have a mic, then you also need like a mic.
A specific mic.
Yeah, like I said, like a condenser.
Yeah, not the ones that we see like in
looks like a cigar.
It looks like a cigar, and not like a can like you see in on Twitch and stuff like that with people doing voice. Those voice microphones are good for voice. They're not good for flute at all. Like you have to have it very close.
A cigar mic.
Yeah, they can be various sizes.
Yeah.
Sennheiser makes one. Shure makes them. Rode makes a couple. Yeah, Rode makes one that has two that are really cool. But we use Sennheiser. We also use ISK, like literally ISK Gem. That's a very budget but very, 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 very good Chinese microphone. But they're very good. They're insanely great for like $80. It's nothing. But we have several. I'll leave everything we've used in the description of this video. I'll update the description, because I've answered this on Reddit and on several other platforms, our full list of what we use. And it ranges from budget to mid-range expensive. And I always go back to budget a lot because we can do everything we can with those ones. And those other ones are really for special cases. Or if we need more flutists, like say there's 3 flutists playing, I got to have 3 microphones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you will need like a flute mic stand. Because you
need
want
mic stands, of course.
a mic stand, or like us here.
Yeah, that's
because
a bit,
we always do it in the same room.
And
basically, we put it in on the ceiling.
Yeah, we've integrated all the stands and all the lighting and everything to a system above on the ceiling, as opposed to everything being on the floor and on light stands and stuff like that. It was taking up a lot of space and getting in our way, and so this way we found a better way to do that. But that doesn't help with sound in reality at all. Like
no, it's just
for convenience. You could have a regular mic stand on the floor and make sure it extends above your head. That's what I always find is the most important way to record flute, at least, and violin too. I've heard like Piazzolla's violin. I basically got it from them. Piazzolla violin player recorded that way. He had a microphone pointing down at the baseboard of the violin, and that was the best sound I've ever heard. And I was able to emulate that with flute super easily. And then I realized flutists also, or flute engineers do that as well.
When they record flute.
Right.
Yeah,
but I'm not a big fan of a big microphone because you really got to get close to it.
I'm not a big fan of when...
it has to be a dynamic.
When they put a microphone very close to my mouth, I don't really like that.
It's very
much.
uncomfortable.
And sometimes it happens more when I play live that they really do that, I guess.
I guess so, yeah, because you're dealing with dynamic microphones then.
Yeah.
Usually on live shows, you're dealing with dynamic microphones.
Because I've played in more like
feedback loops,
world music and stuff like that. Then you need to
those
be
are dynamic,
mic'd.
yeah. Those you have to basically...
Then it's closer.
Yeah, condensers are usually used in studio and not really used in live situations. But yeah, so get a condenser, a small condenser microphone that's pencil styled. It'll change your life, and those microphones last forever. They're indestructible. They're not usually made of plastic. Usually made out of all metal. And either use an audio interface that's integrated with your laptop or computer, or like I said, record away from the computer with a portable audio interface, which kind of helps a little bit with, like, if you don't really know what you're doing. Sometimes devices can have hums and stuff if you're plugging into a computer, because the USB ports voltage might be different.
When you were
might get
talking
problems
about
like that,
the H1, the H1 has...
H4.
H4?
H4 or H2. H1 is a single.
Okay.
Has nothing.
When you have, like, let's say at H4, I remember I bought that a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it has a microphone included in it.
Yeah, it does. Yep. Those ones are okay, but they're not small condenser microphones. They're like XY pattern. They're crisscross. That's a famous thing. But now they have ones that can actually move in different directions. They're the same concept, but now they can be moved, so you can actually move them to be a straight ahead, small condenser like.
Okay. Would that be good enough as a mic to record, let's say, for a video for someone who would like to do that?
Yes, of course.
So that might be the best budget solution for
yeah.
someone who's starting
Well, I
and
wouldn't say
doesn't want to invest too much to
Well,
start?
yeah, you're going to still invest between $400 to $900 for one of those styles of types, because
Okay.
there's like 4 versions of it for Zoom,
So
and then Tascam has a couple versions too. Those are the 2 big name brands, Tascam and Zoom. Yeah.
yeah,
But you can find a lot of those used. You can find an H4n used on eBay for half that price. So,
yeah.
and they'll still work perfectly fine. Yep. You can do that. Also, then, like I said, if you just want to record audio only, but you want to make now video with the audio, then you're looking at different things, because you have to know how to video edit, how to mix and put together the video with the audio to be in sync, because they're not in sync. They're 2 separate things recording at the same time. So then you have to learn, Adobe Adobe Premiere or Blackmagic's DaVinci Resolve. That's free, which is great. Not the Premiere, but those are all very similar, and you can sync those audio and video together. You have to know that you have to record in 48,000 kilohertz on your audio device to be able to sync with video, or it's going to start getting out of sync. And the default setting for most audio interfaces is 4,400 kilohertz, blah, 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 geek stuff. So you got to learn those little tiny things. They're just little tiny things that you got to change in the settings and in the video software
Because you have
to sync
2
everything together.
files. You
Or-
have
or
your,
more,
audio
yeah.
file and you
Yeah.
have your
A video
visual
file, yeah.
video file.
In the video file, you got to make sure that video file also has a decent enough for audio microphone on there so they can hear yourself playing, so they can sync that with that, and then delete the video audio file so that you only have the good audio file.
Yeah.
You know, those are basic things like that really work for those types of things.
Or could you put a microphone directly? Let's say you use your phone
Yeah.
to film yourself. Could you put a better microphone and then have only one file if
Yep,
you're a
of course,
beginner and
of course.
you don't want to learn
Yeah,
all
Rode,
that, but you want
yeah.
to start
Of
creating?
course. Rode makes a very good little Rode Deity. Deity makes really good microphones you can just plug in right into your smartphone. Whether it's if it's an Android, you can use those a lot. But if you have an iPhone, then you have even more options. There's a lot of interfaces, audio interfaces that can even plug in directly that have a microphone built in. There's also, I think Shure makes one that you can just plug in to your iPhone, and it just can do a lot of different things.
But it's just that you won't be able to put it exactly where you are.
Wherever
you
the
want
camera is.
because it has to be where the camera is.
And so you're going to get really weird angles.
Yeah.
So if you don't want flattering angles,
Yeah, that's a bit more complicated. But at least it's a good beginning.
Yep.
If you want to start doing something and you don't have that much money, you can have your phone
totally
and a mic attached to it, and then maybe a good light. And
I might even do a video about that. Just be like, here's this object, here's our phone, like a basic phone. We plug it in, we make a music video out of that, and show like this is what it sounds like basically, and then see if people can even tell or see what that could be really cool because people can make really good stuff, and you need good lighting if you want to do music videos. Lighting is a good thing to learn. It's very quick to learn. 3-point lighting and experiment. You can also do fun, weird lighting that no one has ever done and might look cool. Like we have a lot of stage lights in here, but you can do with a lot with only 1 or 2 lights. Or the sun and another light and one of those photography things.
that's a bit like aluminum type.
Aluminum shine and stuff like that can give you a different shine and. There's all those things. Anyways, long question. Sorry. Let's see if there's a couple more. We'll do 2 or 3 more. If you guys have any diehard questions about anything we do, just let us know. Okay. I'm the only flutist in my band, and the conductor tells me to play louder. How do I play louder? This is great because we actually just released a new video. Go and see that video talking about several questions people asked us when we opened up our monthly open question about what people need to work, what they want to work on better and stuff like that. And one person said that, like, how do I play over
the whole band
and the whole band and play louder? So you can check out the video, but you can elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah. It's just like you won't be able to overplay a whole band with a flute, especially if it's a beginner band, because mostly like trombones, clarinets trumpets will tend to overblow beginners of these instruments, and the flute, we lose a little bit of air when we play. and beginners usually don't blow enough, and then it's also a little bit soft. And yeah, but to play louder, basically, you have to make sure that you open the embouchure, that it's not covered. You know, that it's not covered either by your lower lip or your upper lip. So the hole has to be uncovered, like the lower lip covers a third to a fourth of it, and the upper lip doesn't go forward. If you bring your upper lip forward, then you're covering it with your upper lip. The upper lip is better to stay on the teeth, you know?
Yeah.
Not glued, not tight, but just it stays there. It doesn't have to go forward. So then if that's open, that's going to help a lot. And then you have to support the air. Always blow with your abs, you know, always push the air. And yeah, then you can use like let's say a syllable like ah to make sure that it's open in your mouth and that things can resonate, and that should help, you know?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
How do I
do
elaborate
some
more?
sound exercises, some long tones.
Oh my god, yeah, that's what I was
and
thinking
focus
about.
on that.
Exactly.
And while you're doing long tones, it's a bit like a meditation on sound, and you're observing your body and what it does and how you get the loud sound and how to get back to that feeling. And if it's not working, you can also observe, oh, it's not working. Why is that? What am I doing? Is my throat closed, or am I not pushing enough, or am I closing my lips too much, or did my flute, maybe your flute tends to rock back, and then that covers the hole, and then you don't have any sound.
Yeah, I was literally about that's so true. That's what pretty much like what I was thinking as well. Like I was going to extend, but you said it perfectly. It's amazing. Yeah. Somebody asked us also when we'll be making a video about bamboo flutes. Well, we're going to be making a bamboo series, beginner bamboo series. Hopefully in the next, hopefully in April.
Especially since I'm basically a beginner
myself. Oh yeah, which is exactly. So it's and we're going to do some really interesting things. I won't want to spoil it, because it's gonna be some really cool stuff. It's gonna be a short series. I think maybe 3 episodes max, but we're gonna try to put everything maybe in one. But it's gonna be really, really, really cool doing that. And also like Irish flute as well is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do Irish flute. What else we got there? Chinese, bamboo, and Irish are the 3 that we're gonna do. Maybe shakuhachi, but that is going to be maybe in the fall, because we're going to try to get you to have a lesson with a shakuhachi master and learn that locally. There is a shakuhachi player in Montreal, so it'd be cool.
It's so difficult.
I know it's not.
I
you
can't
don't play
make
it like
a
flute
sound
because it doesn't use it doesn't even use the flute embouchure at all.
No,
it is completely different.
Because I can't make a sound. You can make a sound.
Yeah, but I'm doing it wrong. I've realized it's actually I'm adapting to the flute embouchure, and you're not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be something completely different. So
that's interesting. Oh, someone is saying something interesting about USB mic.
Yeah, I already mentioned. Yeah, he mentioned that already and said USB mic interfaces, which we mentioned can plug right into the phone. Yeah, then
you can put your mic somewhere else.
Exactly, you can do that as well.
Smart.
Yeah, it all depends on the microphone and how long your cable is. I know USB cables only have a certain length you'll need that can carry power. So you might need a there's a thing in between that is powered, so it gives it more power to get. So say you have the camera far away, and you want the microphone to be very close for some reason, you might need one of those, because I think the limit is 20 feet for a USB cable. Then it starts losing power.
20 feet is a lot.
Yeah, so just make sure, though, if you're like, why is my microphone not working? Maybe I'm 50 feet away. It's because of that.
Okay.
And you can buy that on Amazon for like $10. It's super cheap.
Saying, thinking of giving up. What? Why?
Okay, hold on. Second prize says, thinking of giving up. Just recorded myself playing flute. I thought it sounded good, but when I heard it back, it was awful. Is it possible that I just don't ever get a sound that isn't fluffy and empty sounding? Maybe it's the room you're playing in.
Maybe it's your microphone.
It's your microphone. Maybe you're recording too close, so you get a lot of those aspects that are just normal. Those are normal things that happen. I've literally sat right beside Matthew Dufour and Paoud, and like face to face, and they play, and I hear air in their sound. I hear stuff.
Yeah.
It's
we all have air in our
But the
sound.
moment I walk 10 feet away, it's golden. So it all depends. Like we're all different, and don't be too hard on yourself. I think it's you're realizing that something is wrong. So that's a good thing because that means now you can analyze it and figure out what you can do to make it better.
If you record yourself just to work, sometimes I use my phone. It's not good, but it's just enough so that I can hear the phrasing, hear if I'm in tune, all those things.
Right.
I put it a bit further because if you put it too close, it peaks and it's horrible.
It just sounds blah.
Yeah, but don't judge yourself too much. Like it takes years to have a good sound on the flute and to have a good consistent sound.
Right.
So it's a process. Do sound exercises. Watch our videos about sound, embouchure, breathing, also posture, because sometimes posture can have a big impact on your embouchure, because if your flute is rocking, that affects the embouchure as well. So,
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Don't, like I said, don't give up. Like, it's really just something that is a process. You're in a process now. You want to, you're going to get there where you're going to be able to control what you want to emote, what you want to say with your instruments. So there's, like you said, with recordings and stuff, record yourself again, record yourself again in an hour. See what you've changed. Like, you're doing so many things are going on when you're doing those things in your brain. Like, you don't even know subconsciously. Your brain's now blocking and putting things into sync that, I'm not going to do this the next time. You're not even thinking that, but your brain's doing it. Your brain has those mechanisms to basically do survival mechanisms in the wild, but you're using it for your flute playing. It's just like we can't escape those things. So maybe record an hour later or record the next day and then see what you improved on. And
if it stresses you too much, maybe don't record for a few days or a few weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a tool. It's a tool, not a...
But do some sound exercises where you just think about it.
Right.
Take your time. Play in front of a mirror. Watch your embouchure.
Good
that helps a lot. Playing in front of a mirror. Sometimes people smile too much, Then I tell them to, bring the embouchure down a little bit, like here, the corners of the mouth, and they don't do it. And then I say, go and check in the mirror, and they do it right away, So, check in the mirror. Yeah. The mirror is a good ally, and the recording too. But if it makes you too sad, like, wait a little.
Right.
Just have fun.
Yeah, just have fun, and like bad tone days happen. It's okay. Like we all have bad tone days.
I still have bad tone days sometimes.
And just it's all good. Don't worry about that. We're just going to talk a little bit about what we have available for everybody first. And then if you have any diehard questions, ask us right now, and then we'll try to answer them after we say that. And then the show will be over. So we've had a great month with all you guys, which is really amazing. And if you guys want to help us further, you can go and check out our merch store, which is different from our sheet music store and our course store. It's where all of our merch, like our hat, your shirt, our fingering chart, which is amazing. It's a fingering poster. You can go to store.theflutechannel.com where you can find all those things there. And then, like I said, there's musigy.com, musoggy.com, where our sheet music store is, our courseware packs are, and our soon to be most of our albums that we're going to be releasing there solely to help us out directly there. So you can go and check out what we have there. What else do we got? Well, we also have our Patreon. If you want to help us directly once a month, you can help us with as little as $2 a month, and that goes directly to us and gives us more time to do more videos and more products and more ideas and more interactions with you guys. And we have a nice little group there. We're trying to always encourage people to go and help us out there if you can, if you're financially able. We're not trying to push people who can and are stressed out about money, but if you're able to, please go and join us there. You can you can go there at patreon.com /the flute channel. Yeah, that's also in the description.
And did you talk about the code TFC?
Oh, and then we also have the Flute Center of New York, which is if you're looking to buy a new flute, new flute upgrading or buying a new flute in general, just buying a flute, go to the Flute Center of New York if you want to go and find yourself a flute there, and you can use our code TFC, and that gives you a bunch of perks and gives us a little cut.
Yeah, and
all that is in the description as well. And then I think we have one other thing, which was, what was it? We have so many things. It's crazy. I don't remember. But if it comes back to me, I'll definitely talk about that as well. So yeah, any other questions? I thought I saw one here. Hey, Martin Tay, just wanted to ask you, what brand do you recommend for an intermediate student? Oh, brands. Okay. Brand flutes, probably. Do you want me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Okay. So, like, you have Yamaha, you have Trevor James, you have Sonare, which is, I think, a sub-brand of Powell. Those are three that are pretty good. I know Haynes has a brand name as well, like a beginner brand. But like a Yamaha 200, 300, 400 series are very good intermediate flutes. Also 500 too series.
What about that guy who started his own thing? I always forget the name of that brand. I think he has them made in China or.
Oh, you have Dizao.
Dizao.
Oh, Dizao is a great.
I think they have a very good quality price.
Oh, yeah, super good quality price. Dizao, so it's Dizhao, something like that. Sorry if I'm mistakenly that, but I think you can find all of those brands at the Flute Center of New York. And yeah, those are all good intermediate flutes. You have to budget, like if you want something that's under 2,000, you're going to find something for sure. But then after that, I would say in general, you're starting to get to professional models that they all are, it all has different things. You're going to get, it's like when you go to a car, when you go to a car salesman, you get different cars with different features and stuff like that. It might be a bit overwhelming, but just know that try the flutes first. See how you feel about them. Do tests on them. Bring somebody with you if you can, to even if it's not a flutist or a musician, somebody could just be like, "Oh, this one sounded better
on you,
just to their ears." Like, get some opinions and try them. That's why the Flute Center of New York, you can get up to 3 flutes sent to you to try for up to 10 days. So that's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think there's one last question.
One last. Oh, that was a great question, though, Martin. Thank you so much. Or Martian. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. Hey, so Danny wants to know, do I get that darn second C sharp to sound in tune?
How do I?
Thank you very much. All the other notes sound pretty well, but whenever I get to that note, it sounds conspicuously sharper, and the color too.
Yeah.
That's how it's built in on every flute. Every flute almost sounds like that. You got to work on it to make it sound better.
So the way to make it sound better, it's just that it's too sharp and also it's empty.
Yeah.
It sounds hollow. So the way I do it is I use my nose to give it more timbre. I go a little bit, like a little bit like a witch voice, that type of, and I give it a little bit more timbre.
Yeah, people do a lot of different things for sure. I look at it more as a physics thing, because it's literally no hole is being utilized. It's all open. So you're basically relying on your head joint is basically the last hole that's being used, which is your mouth. So work with that, like you were saying.
So you kind of do you cover a little bit more then?
That, or you get a tuner, add more sound, add more, and work between the notes, like work between the D that's right after it and the C under it, like switch back and forth. So you can start either, like you said, adding more. I like adding more air or lessening more air, depending on the intervals that are between the note after. So it's how I do it. It's how I do it. You do a witch thing. I do this thing.
I know. It's just, it doesn't seem very clear to me. But I understand.
Try the notes after is what I'm saying, because it's about the note after, because it's the relative to the note after is what you're saying.
Yeah.
You have to make sure
understand
those are in
now
tune.
what you mean. Yeah. I like the idea of the...
She is a person who likes to analyze others. It's all good.
It's just, it's funny.
I'm sure
now
it is.
I get it. It's a good way to work on it if you, let's say you play D, C sharp, C sharp, because then you can compare your sound and try to match the
or any
D.
interval. I would say, I'm going to tell you, any interval. If you're going to do long tones,
but also just
work on that.
on the timbre, trying to match the timbre of other notes.
Yeah.
It can be a good exercise. But how to do it, I would say, because it's so hollow, you need to give it a little bit of timbre.
I'll tell you personally, it's the note I think about all the time. I never think about any other note. I worked on all the other notes. Those notes are built into the flute. They are literally methodically machined to work, but not C sharp.
And the second octave one
to
is too
work on it.
Too low, usually.
Which one?
the same note but second octave, then
because
it's the
frequencies are
opposite.
different. It's a completely different beast. That one's way more easier to work with than middle C.
I know,
It's
but it's just funny that one is so
when low
high
C sharp
and the
is
other
amazing.
one,
Low C sharp is an
'cause-
amazing note.
Yeah.
Maybe my favorite note. I'm telling you. But you can't make that type of thing in middle C. It's like hell hits that note. So you have to really work on it.
And also
that's how
sometimes when you can also
weird.
use your right hand, just the three middle fingers.
You can add fingers.
You just play the three, like the index, middle finger, and ring finger, and that plays a C sharp.
Yep, sure.
And it's a little bit more in tune and also a little bit more timbre. Let's say I have a C sharp D trill, or I play C sharp and D, not necessarily in a trill, but let's say ta-na-na-na-na. Then I just do it like that instead of moving to my pinky.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I just keep those fingers there.
Yeah.
So sometimes it depends on the context. You can use that as an alternate fingering.
Yeah, exactly. Turbo Deluxe wants to know about the C sharp. Why does it sound so weak? How do I change that? Like I said, all the things that we were just discussing, and also how it's built, just how a flute is built. Even a C sharp or a C sharp on any instrument that has any flute-like side-blown instrument that has C sharp, it's really a weird thing because no holes are being used. So you're just basically dealing with the whole entire tube now, which can be very unstable sometimes, and that's why. It's all about physics. Again, it's just a tube with holes in it and physics and stuff like that. I know there's a Nicholas Bray or Nicholas something. He has a YouTube channel all about that. He makes flutes out of tubes, out of everything. It's insane. I'll leave that channel in the description. And he talks about those types of notes. And it's so interesting because those apply to our instrument a lot. So you just have to work on it. Like I said, my whole life, I've always thought about C sharp. Always. Because it's... you have to work with the interval, work with that. I did long tones only solely on C sharp, going up C sharp to high F, C sharp to E, and low, back and forth. Like, make sure that those intervals sound in tune, because it's not the C sharp that's out of tune necessarily. It's that C sharp out of tune with another note coming ahead or before. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know it's very, very boring geek stuff for you. I think that's it. I think there's no other ones. I don't see any question marks anywhere. But I think Danny, who was it that said it? It was Danny. Thanks, Danny, for that question. I love that question. Oh, Danny wants to say one more thing, and I think we'll call it a day. So even the best flute in the world could have a C-sharp design flaw. It could. Some have donuts. Some have metal soldered inside to lessen the resistance inside there. It's called like donuts inside there. They have one in E sharp, or E has one.
It lessens the resistance or it adds resistance?
Adds resistance. I'm sorry. Yeah, lessen would be bad. It would add more resistance.
Yeah, because I'm like, there's
donuts.
already none.
There's C sharp trills, which is a different mechanism to do. Because trills you can get away with C sharp because it's so fast you don't hear it being out of tune too much. But when it's held long, it can be out. You'll start hearing it. Most professional flutes, I've never heard of a professional flute have a good C sharp. It's just, again, physics. Like,
yeah, it's just
you have to get it moved. Some people have tried moving the C sharp, moving the side keys or moving something. I can't remember which key it is exactly, to kind of lessen it as well. There's so many different ways that people have been trying to fix that. But personally, me, I've never heard any professional flute I've tried. Like when I was at Powell's event a couple years ago, and I tried their super carat, 28 carat, I don't remember what it was. It still had that issue.
Mm-hmm. But
it's
you
just
have
how it
an
is.
alternate fingering. You can
there's alternate fingerings. There's
you
all types
can
of
practice
stuff. It's not
with
hopeless.
a tuner and get to know where it is when you play, and totally. we can work around
There's
that.
tools. There's
it's
tools.
Not that much of a big deal, I think.
Well, it can sound very. I can understand the people who just start out when they play.
Yeah, if you don't know how
it
to work on it, but
can
if
be
you
very
work on
obvious.
it, it's gonna get better.
And like it's a hollow sounded tone color. Like it's one of the hardest tone colors to manage as well for beginners and in the future. Like just when you know when somebody's playing a C sharp. You know what I mean? I can hear it, and then.
Yeah. You played so much flute, when someone's playing any note.
Yeah, but that one in particular.
I don't have perfect pitch, but on the flute,
right.
basically
perfect
hear
flute
any
pitch.
note.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know the sound of each one.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Because practicing so much and listening to so much flute.
But don't feel that you're alone. It's literally the note that everyone complains about.
Oh, yeah.
It's the note. The. Like.
Well, there's other ones. Like the middle E is fragile. It cracks all the time.
Middle E, you mean in the middle register?
Oh, yeah. It cracks a lot.
Oh, it can crack, but I don't think its color's nice.
Yeah, but it cracks. And then the third octave E and F sharp are difficult. And then, like, there's a lot of flaws on the flute.
I would say middle E, yeah, high E and F, yeah, those ones, yes, but not as much as C sharp. But yes, they have those. But they've facilitated and fixed those problems throughout history of the instrument.
The E, but not the F sharp.
F sharp, you can fix with the alternate fingering, the forkings and stuff. That's pretty much the only solution.
Yeah, but then you can't play it loud.
Nope.
So you see,
the flute's not a perfect instrument. I knew that. That's what we're saying. Yeah, it's not a perfect instrument. Yeah, I know that's what I'm in agreement with you.
Yeah.
You know, so let's say that that's what it is. So we live with an instrument that has its own personal issues. It's temperamental, but we love it. So yeah, thanks everybody so much. I don't remember what the last thing I wanted to talk about with all the sponsors and all the things that we do, but that's okay. I'll like I said, I'll leave a lot of the stuff we talked about, links to the things we talked about, in fact, in the description later today. And if you're listening to this live on the podcast, on your podcast feed, go and check out the video if you want to see the video portion of our podcast. And also, I'll leave all those things in the description of the podcast episode as well. So yeah, thanks everybody so much. Also, please be sure to go and rate us on Apple Podcasts. This is the time of the season that we kind of push it a little bit more because it's really cool to have you guys go and leave us a 5-star review or leave us whatever type of review you like. We'll try to read them over. 5 stars is the best, I'll hustle that. And that gets us more awareness, gets more people to listen to us because a lot of people are listening to the podcast right now in all types of formats, and this helps us out the most. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you guys the next last Sunday of the month.
Yes.
We'll be back on our regular schedule.
Yeah.
Sorry for that. We just had to do a little calendar change on some stuff, and yeah, we'll see you then. Thanks everybody so much.
Thanks for listening
and watching.